What about us men then? Are we generally sort of forthcoming? Do we talk about these things?
No.
No?
Men are far less likely to talk about mental health issues than women. I think it's quite encouraging the amount of particularly footballers that have come forward and rugby players recently talking about issues mainly with depression but with other mental illnesses as well. I think it gives perhaps young males or any males a role model to think, well actually if he's coming out and talking about it, perhaps it's alright for me. And it's all about talking about it.
By the time he talks about it, he's probably desperate as well, I would have thought.
Yeah,
absolutely.
This is exactly it.
If you get men to talk about it earlier, make a big difference.
Exactly. I think men find it difficult to express their emotions in general, let alone if they feel in themselves that they've got some sort of illness developing. Because, as Amy said earlier, it's difficult because you think, oh, I've got everything, there's nothing wrong with my life, so why am I feeling like this? And I shouldn't say anything about it because people think, why are you feeling like that? We shouldn't make people feel like they can't talk about these things openly. We should be able to feel like men or women, we can equally speak about these things to one another and support each other. And the only way we can do that is by doing stuff like this and talking about these things.
Statistically, men are far more likely to commit suicide as well.
Yeah.
More women attempt suicide, but men go through with it because they simply don't think there's any other option.
And I think men see admission of mental health issues as a weakness.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking on behalf of men, I think that's
Exactly.
absolutely
Don't
right,
want to look weak. Yeah, this is it.
Very hard to do. And,
usually they're supporting a role anyway, aren't they? They're like husband, boyfriend, you know, and that's seen as supportive. So again, it's the weakness side of things. They're not meant in their mind to be weak.
And men are told, don't act like a girl if you cry, or don't, like all these things. From a young age, you're told not to cry as a man.
And then there's that awful phrase, man up.
That shouldn't be the case, exactly. But it's in the media constantly. If they see a man upset, well, they're sensational. The media sensationalise these things again, and it's so archaic in the media the view they give of mental health.
Especially when you start to think about how men and women's roles are much more equal now in society than they've ever been.
More men caring for children,
providing
a single parent, family.
There are different things that men are facing now, particularly different roles, and I think a man's role is changing in society ever more.
And it's a shame that it's portrayed as a sign of weakness, when in fact being able to talk about something is actually it's strength.
Very strong.
It's, you know, it's a very strong place
because
to
you're
be.
regaining control.
Absolutely.
You're taking control. Otherwise, it's
And you know,
obvious
if you're
away.
prepared to cry out for help, for want of a better phrase, you know, it's you're going to get that help anyway. But yeah, it's I think
for a man, I think being able to do it confidentially is really important. And accessibility, because it's hard to do, and you're put on a waiting list or something. It's awful. But
the wait.
Once the momentum is there to do it, I think for a guy, probably have to do it quite quickly.
I think that's why it's important to have that accessibility of services, because you know, whether it's a man or a woman or a child, adolescents, the waiting list for adolescent mental health services is massive.
Because it's not good if it's under resourced, isn't it? It's just not there when you need it.
They've made that decision, they want to get on and do it.
Exactly, and you see young people having to be moved to a bed 300 odd miles away from their family. That isn't going to help them in their mental health. It's going to worsen things. So people need to realise that mental health, if you had cancer, you wouldn't want to be away from your family. You want the family support. We want the family support if we've got anxiety or depression or something like that. You don't want to be moved away from your entire family and friends.
And of course mothers that get separated from their children if they're suffering, fathers that get separated from their children, fathers who are perhaps the breadwinners in the family might need a period of time off work. It's all of that. All of these things need to be thought about in the same way that they would be for a physical illness.
Well done.